The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moments of comfort, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy.
Now I invite Miss Ashlyn Diana, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to introduce the chief guest.
I extremely elate to take this opportunity to introduce the chief guest of the day, Sri Jacob Punnus, IPS, the former DGP and Director General of Kerala. He has received his education from St. Saviour's College, Tumba, University College, Trivandrum and Cochin University. He has served as the City Police Commissioner of Trivandrum and Kozhikode, Joint Excise Commissioner, Zonal IG of Trivandrum and Kozhikode, Intelligence IG, Additional DGP and Intelligence DGP. He has also served as the Vigilance Director and the Chairman of Kerala Police Act Review Committee. He has been appointed as the DGP of Law and Order in Kerala on 26 November 2008. He is a member of 1975 IPS batch. After serving for more than 3.5 decades in Indian Police Service and Kerala Police, he has retired on 31st August 2012. Above all, he has left an indelible mark in the field of administration through his sincerity, punctuality, devotion and dedication to duty. A person of such dignity will truly inspire us. It is a true honor to have you here, sir. I, on behalf of Malanga Catholic College, wholeheartedly welcome you for the college day address.
Most Reverend Dr. Vincent Mar Pavlos, Metropolitan of the Diocese, as well as the Chairman of the Malangara Catholic College, Honorable Advocate S. Rajesh Kumar, Member of the Legislative Assembly from Killiyur constituency, Very Reverend Father Josh Bright, Vicar General, Reverend Father Arul Das, Principal Dr. J. Tanka Kumaran, Reverend Father Prem Kumar, PTA Representative Mrs. Shiba Dev, Dr. Lenin John, Reverend Fathers in the audience, special invitees, distinguished guests, teachers, members of the non-teaching staff, and dear students. I must congratulate the students, staff, and the management of this college on several aspects which I have experienced after I've come here. I listened in rapt attention to the report presented by the principal, Dr. Thampi Kumar. I was extremely proud of the staff, proud of the students, because I do not think that many other colleges could have presented as distinguished a report as this one on a college union day. For the last 2 years, how brilliant your academic engagement has been, how extraordinarily good your university results have been, how keen has been your programs, how brilliant has been your performance in extracurricular activities, the grand functions that you organized, the seminars you held, the international and national recognition that you attained, all this proudly presented by the principal. And I must congratulate the staff, the students, and the principal for this brilliant achievement, both in the academic as well as in the extracurricular arena. All this has been achieved despite the huge challenges of COVID. All of us know how difficult the past 2 years have been. The most difficult perhaps in my life, I am 70 years old now, I cannot recall any other period in which life had been rendered more difficult. Everything that we used to enjoy, everything that we used to have, every travel, every study, every institution, everything was brought down by COVID. We were confined to the comfort of our homes. We could not even go to the church. We could not even worship God. in the way that we used to worship God. We could not study. We could not walk. We could not travel. We could not see a film. Everything was denied to us. And therefore, this remarkable achievement that this college has achieved in the last 2 years is indeed a brilliant testimony to the dedication, sincerity, commitment, and steadfast loyalty to the institution that the staff and students have exhibited. So I must congratulate you once again for this brilliant performance. I must also congratulate the management. Just before I came here very early and therefore rested in the parish house adjoining. I came across Reverend Father Prem Kumar, who is joining us from Australia for this function. He was the first correspondent for this college. During my interaction, he told me of the great trials and tribulations, of the great worries, of the great problems that he and the first bishop had encountered in founding this institution. The Malankara Catholic Church is not a stranger to institution building, nor is it a stranger to the cause of education. If we examine the proud history of the Malankara Catholic Church, we are singularly fortunate in having been led by persons, prelates, pontiffs, who were absolutely devoted to the cause of education. Because education, being a teacher, is fundamental to the Christian faith. Because if you read the Bible, you will understand that Jesus, he used to be addressed in many ways by people around him. But the most frequent way of addressing Jesus, as we see in the Bible, as we read the Bible, is teacher, guru, rabbi. This was the form in which most people addressed teacher. It was an education of the people, an education in love, an education in forgiveness, an education in charity, education in human concern. It's a great education. It's the first time that such an education was given to the people of the world. It was education. And therefore, our church leaders also took up the cause of education. You must have all heard of the college, Marivanus College, which is the pride of Trivandrum. The college has contributed such a lot to the spirit of Trivandrum, to the transformation of Trivandrum, to the growth of Trivandrum. If you go through the list of alumni of Marivanus College, you find everybody there. But you must know that when Marivanus, of blessed memory, he came to Trivandrum as the head of the church, he didn't have a church. He didn't have a house. He did not have a house to live in. He had no bishop's house. He had no cathedral. He had no church. But before he built a cathedral, before he built his own bishop's house, the Patamaramana, you see that before that, he bought the land and built the Marivanus College. That is the level of importance that the Malankara Catholic Church has given to education. When I came here and talked to Father Prem Kumar, I came to know that exactly the same thing has happened here. This area was educationally backward. Not many people had even passed. In many of the parishes, there were many who had not even passed 10th standard. And therefore, when this diocese was founded, the diocese has taken up the cause of education. Education by which the individual is transformed. Education by which the family is changed. Education by which the community is empowered. Education by which a district progresses, a state progresses, the nation progresses, the world progresses. The world today is a much different world than the world 200 years back, only because of education. Those countries, those nations which took up the cause of education earlier, they have gone very much past. We all heard of Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton, born in 1642. We hear that since he was doing badly at school, his mother educated him at her own house, and he became the professor at Cambridge at the age of 24. So education And Newton, as you all know, founded modern science. So such was, whenever any society, whenever families, groups, societies, Oxford was established 700 years ago, Cambridge was established 600 years ago. So founding of universities, support of education, this is what makes nations great. And therefore the same thing has happened here. And Father Prem Kumar was telling me the great satisfaction that he feels of large number of alumni of this institution, finding different jobs, both in India and abroad, excelling in their professions, moving forward in all walks of life, and bringing pride to their families, pride to their communities, and pride to their institutions. So this is a great vocation, and therefore I must congratulate the manner in which the Diocese of Marthandam has instituted this college, nurtured the growth of this college, has enabled the students and staff to pursue excellent goals, whether they are exposed to nationally, internationally, all exposures are given to the students. And this investment they have made, I was particularly referring to the library, the thousands of journals that are available online, the hundreds of books that are available online, the best facilities that are offered for research. When I came here, Abhimanyu Tirumeni told me while I was walking down that today somebody can enter at the age of 5 to this campus, and 24 years later the same boy or girl can walk out as a PhD degree holder. So from the primary education to a PhD education, all these things are possible in this campus. A matter of great pride, and it's an act of great transformation of society and families and communities. So we deserve that. I was also particularly impressed by one slide presented by Dr. Thambi, the principal. That slide was about a boy named Abhilash. I do not know whether Abhilash is in this audience. My heart goes out to him. My congratulations go out to him. Because what he has done, sitting in Kalaikavila, Google headquarters is in San Francisco. If you ask around in San Francisco, where is this Kalaikavila? Only Google will know where Kalaikavila is. Nobody in San Francisco will know. But sitting in Kalaikavila, operating his little computer here, he was able to detect a major flaw in a Google system. And the Google was able to notice it and introduce and place him in the Hall of Fame. Now, this is what the world is about. This is what the world has become. Respected Tirumeni in his address has referred to the digital technology transforming the world into a global village. In Abhilash, you are experiencing the transformation of the world into a global village. Sitting in Kalaikavila, he can find a fault in Google, and Google can take notice of it. And sitting in Kalaikavila, he can enter into the Google Hall of Fame in San Francisco. This is possible. This ability to reach out to the world, this ability to become a global citizen, this is what technology has given to us. Earlier, a person who was physically disabled, we used to call him physically challenged. A person who is mentally disabled, we used to call him mentally challenged. Now, there is a new category emerging, that is digitally challenged. So if you are not proficient with digital technology, you are supposed to be digitally challenged. But once you are digitally empowered, once you are digitally able, there is no limit to the distances which you can transcend, to the difficulties that you can overcome. All the difficulties which my generation experienced will disappear for you, because the digital technology opens to you a world which has no boundaries. But that potential, if you want to exploit, you must become a global citizen. If you read the history of the world, you will understand that those nations and those countries which took up the cause of being global citizens, they came out, they triumphed, they established empire. They ruled the world because they were able to go out of the confinements and the limitations of their own little areas and go out into the world, taking great risks. They conquered the world. Do you know when Vasco da Gama came to Kerala, to the west coast of India? Vasco da Gama came in 1498. When Vasco da Gama came to India, India was the richest country in the world. Believe it or not. India was the richest country in the world. Otherwise, why else should Vasco da Gama come here? We were producing 25% of the world's total output. Out of the world's total production, 25%, fully 1/4 was produced in India. Today, United States, the richest nation in the world, produces only 9% of the world's total economic output. India was producing 25%. But we had one defect. In your history lessons, when you were in high schools, you have heard of travelers who came. We have heard of Marco Polo. We have heard of Ibn Battuta. We have heard of Huan Sang, Fahian. So many people came to India. So many people came to Kerala. But tell me one Keralite, one Indian who went out to Europe in the 16th century. One Indian, one Keralite who went out to Africa in those days. We did not go out. When we were the richest in the world, we were proud of our riches, but we did not go out into the world. We did not try to become global citizens. But what happened? In 200 years after that, 300 years after that, at the beginning of the 20th century, India became the poorest country in the world. That is because we could not adapt to foreign technology. We had no new invention. We had no new discovery. We did not know how to interact with foreigners. Their designs, their evil designs, the way they cheated us, the way they manipulated us, we were not able to recognize that because none of us had gone there. Marco Polo came from Italy to India. How many Indians went from India to Italy? When black pepper and the spices of our country were taken to Europe and sold, when the Arabs as well as the Europeans fought for those spices, we never asked, why are our spices so precious? What are they doing with it? So we never went out there, inquired. We never tried to take the spices ourselves. Suppose we had taken the spices ourselves and sold it in the European market, the profits would have come to us. Our merchants would have profited. And therefore you understand, we are in such a state now. The world is lying open before us. If Abhilash of this college, Abhilash of this institution could reach out and enter the Hall of Fame in the Google Hall of Fame in San Francisco, the opportunity is there for every one of us. We have a rich tradition. It is not impossible for us. In Tamilians, the Chola kingdom, the Chola empire, Rajaraja Chola, his empire extended to the whole, up to Indonesia. It is possible for us. We had a strong maritime tradition. But way back, somehow along the way, we decided that we have become very rich, we have become super, so we did not go out anywhere else. But now it is changing. Now we realize that we can advance, we can prosper, we can thrive only if we go out to the world. Not if we confine ourselves to sitting inside, happy with our hearts. We have to go out. The challenge is there before us. So the ability to challenge the world, that is what education must give us. As the principal said in his report, it is not enough that you are good students. Definitely you are good students. You have 53 ranks, 60 ranks, 4 gold medals, 3 gold medals. All these are excellent. But at the same time, along with the medals, you must have the ability to define goals, pursue them, take up any challenge, and say to yourself that if it is humanly possible, I will be able to do it. Then only. Because you know how, I am again referring to Vasco da Gama. Vasco da Gama started out from Lisbon in 1497 with 3 ships and 140 human beings in 3 ships. He visited Calicut. When he came back to Lisbon after 1.5 years, he had only 1 ship and 70 people. More than 50% of the people who started the expedition perished in the sea in the voyage to find India. If 2 people went, 1 died and 1 only came back. If 3 ships had sailed out, only 1 ship came back. But despite that, in the next 20 years, 80,000 people from the Iberian Peninsula, which means Spain and Portugal, 80,000 people came eastwards, came in search of India, out of which 72,000 people died. Only 8,000 survived. This was what they did at the beginning of the 16th century. And they won. The Portuguese won. The Spaniards won. In their following their footsteps, the French also came, the British also came. Because the ability to take up a challenge at whatever be the cost, as a nation, as an individual, as a people, as a group, we are up to that. We will take up this challenge. If something is required for our survival, we will take it up. That is the spirit. Education gives us knowledge. Education gives us the means, the technology. It's the human spirit that matters. What is that guide? What is it that guides us? What is the love in our hearts? What is the burning desire in our hearts? What is the discipline that we have? What is the control that we have over ourselves? With that discipline, with that control, with love for our others, love for our family, love for our community, love for our state, love of our nation. With this love, you must be motivated and venture out into the world. That kind of goal setting, that kind of pursuit of goals, it is that which makes individuals great, societies great, and nations great. May this institution, which has done wonderful work in the last 24 years, and is now starting its silver jubilee year. We are proud of all those people. Father Prem was telling me that 2 weeks back in Adelaide, when he was sitting there with a small group, one young man came to him and said, in Adelaide, not here, Father, I belong to the first batch of Malankara Catholic College, Marigiri. I am from that college. Imagine the happiness that the father had. Imagine the happiness that the boy had. I don't know his name. But I am told there are hundreds of such people who have gone from this village and are now in different parts of the world, opening out lives for themselves, being the pride of their communities, pride of their families, and bringing pride, happiness to this institution. Each of you, let each of you present here, learning from your staff, spurred on by the management, with the blessings of Abhimanyu Tirumeni and all the priests, may you be able to strive forward and attain your goals. And thank you very much for inviting me here and listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for devoting your precious time and endowing the young peoples with your motivational and inspiration words of wisdom and experience.